Hello, good morning. Hello everyone.
Clicker.
Welcome to the 2025 edition of the Blender Conference. How are you guys feeling? Right? Good.
How is the
It's going to be an
first time I
amazing
sit in
event.
the
I know the
audience.
schedule, and I know it's going to be something that will be another memorable Blender Conference you will look back to. But first, we have to start, right? And I have to kick off. And I start with something we all know already, but I would like to mention a couple of things we did in the past year. So some last year's highlights. Huh? We released Blender 3 times, of course, which you can talk for hours about, but I'm not going to do that because half of the internet is already doing this. You have all the TikTokers and the Twitchers and the YouTubers and the influencers and the bloggers and the vloggers. It's like everybody on the planet is following us, what we do, very closely, and they are talking about it in a very happy, enthusiastic way. So what I want to say something about instead is the Blender 5 that's coming, which is also already being worked on for many months. So it's Blender 5. Can you imagine? We don't have hoverboards, we don't have flying cars, but we are living in the future where Blender 5 is going to happen. So what a time to be alive, right? A couple of highlights from Blender 5 that I personally really like is, of course, physics nodes. This is something that is already brewing forever, this whole idea that you can turn Blender into a real-time environment where everything is physical and where you can move things around, where the tools update everything in real time, and where you have animation interacting with things in real time. So this is the next step up to something we call the real-time mode in Blender, or interaction mode. This is really happening. We have what we call the story tool in development, also going to happen in Blender 5. So for people who don't know, we have Grease Pencil, which is popular especially by people who are doing storyboarding, for example, or making 2D animation. And with story tool, we will combine the power of the sequencer, video editing, and drawing your storyboards or your stories. So you can click on the strips, switch between the scenes, see all the previews, and do all the edit while you are drawing. So you can make the whole movie inside of Blender in like a day, which is going to be mind-blowing. And we're going to get Blender on tablets. Now, we have Blender running on mobiles already like for 25 years, which is not super special, but what is special is that we now are finally ready at the Blender architecture is to make sure that we can make it actually work. Because making the software run on a tablet is one thing, but making it work, that you can actively use it for things, that's where the big challenge will be. And I think we are getting there. It will be not only for iPad, but also for Android. And we're working on this with Apple and with Wacom, for example, to make this happen. I also want to show one thing that happened in the community last year that I really liked, and that is this. What's called the clay pencil from the amazing Daniel Lara. This is drawing in the viewport, and every line you draw becomes a 3D model. And this is what 2D animators can do to draw 3D animations. It's not only amazing that it works already, but this is also a good use case to understand why, for example, working on a tablet will be something that works fantastic. One more highlight of the last year, we won the Oscar! Well, Gintz won the Oscar and his team for the movie Flow, right? And of course, I was incredibly happy for them and for the team. And I was especially impressed how much Gintz has been doing to promote Blender. Everywhere he was, and online, and even in the thank you speech, he said thank you to Blender. So this helped us a lot. In some circles in Hollywood, having an Oscar is like the sexiest thing you can do. So when we were around, immediately people talk about it. So Blender actually won the Oscar. So I thank you again, and I wish you good luck with the next movie. So we went to SIGGRAPH in Vancouver. Lots of fun, big lines for people looking for the tablet version, and again to getting confirmed that Blender is like everywhere in the industry. The thing I would like to show was at the end, when the show was being teared down, somebody stole the AI from the SIGGRAPH logo. And I thought, I'm going to replace it with humans, right? That's how it should be. This happened just yesterday or 2 days ago that we released the Blender Annual Report. It's always a lot of work for it. You should read it, you can see the activities, and you can also see something that comes back to my main topic of last year, the big M topic, money. So how did it go with us? Well, we did actually good. The end of the year campaign with the 2%, it doubled the small donations for Blender. So we can close the year happy and knowing that we can still pay the bills. But that's not only what happened last year. It's amazing to see that it keeps going. So this is the state of today, or actually September 1st. So the first 8 months of the year, we already managed to secure more individual donations and the same level of more recurrent donations than usual. And if you would extrapolate this for the whole year, you get this. So most of the donations from the bigger donations stay the same, but the community and what you guys are doing is like exploding. So this is fantastic. So that brings me to the main topic of the talk. It's like, what is this thing? What is the key to our achievement? Or in influencer lingo, what is the secret of our success? So what is it that we do that makes it all happen? Well, for example, that's the first thing, is of course you guys, right? It's the community. And I mean everyone, right? All the millions of people in the world who are doing something with Blender, even when they never contribute anything, it doesn't matter, the community is key. And every time when we talk to industry relations or to people about strategy, about the future, then we confirm the community is our biggest asset. Right? So Blender might not be the best software, and we may not have the best technology or the best organization or the best leadership in place, but we do have the best community, right? And an important subset is, of course, the contributors. That's the developers, people working on Blender.org, reporting bugs, whatever it is. But the developers that we have, I would like to tell people that we also have a couple of top talent, people of world class, working every day on Blender. This is making Blender special, and this is the reason why Blender is being adopted everywhere. So thank you, developers. We have the Blender license. So a lot of people, they hear me talking about it every time, and maybe they still don't fully understand it, but it's important for Blender to be free software. And a lot of corporations, especially in the beginning, the first 10, 15 years of Blender, they were complaining about the license because with the GNU GPL, you will never get industry adoption, all those kind of stories. Well, we've proven them to be untrue, right? In the end, it will happen. It might have gone slower, but the benefit is that by keeping the free software principles, we also kept everything together, and we kept with the community, and we kept having software for everyone, instead of becoming some kind of support organization to help the industry with things. And that is related to this. So Blender is a public project. So even people who are employed by the Blender organization, developers, or whoever they are, they're all working in public on Blender.org. people we hire, for 95%, are coming from the contributor community. So we really, from the inside out, you can become a Blender developer and get paid for your work. Having a public project is also important to work with the industry, because I always tell them that we are not going to solve your problems. You have to come on board with us to solve your problems together with us. Like what I used to say to Hollywood, like I don't want Blender to be in Hollywood, I want Hollywood to be here in Blender to help contributing. And then there's of course the Blender Foundation. The organization behind Blender started in 2002 to get the resources to have an established organization, super important, and especially later when Blender Foundation got a bit bigger, that we separated the business into two things. So the foundation is holding the assets, and the institute is doing all the projects with all the risks. This model we've been using since 2007, and that has helped us a lot staying alive and be successful. In the institute, we did open movies. And we still do open movies, but I also think that especially in the first 10, 15 years, this is the Sintel team, by the way, look at those young people. And the first 10, 15 years, it was very important to show everybody that you can make high quality, industry quality content with Blender. Now, and then it comes a little bit closer to me, because I also think that Blender had a public vision, focus, and a direction. And these things are three different things. The vision is stuff that goes into the future. Right? I had it already 25 years ago. I thought, I want to bridge the gap between game creation and film and animation making. So real time versus offline working. That's 25 years ago, and we are still not there, right? So, but it's a vision that keeps me going. The focus means that you don't really say, okay, let's go and leap to that situation in one go, but find the things that are here, that are feasible and doable, so you do the things so you can make some steps. And direction means that you actually make it happen and get people doing it so that we can start moving. So yeah, so that brings it a little bit to me, because I think that is the thing that I've been adding to Blender's success. And if you look at me as a person, I think there are a couple of aspects that helped. For example, I'm an organizer. Already, like since high school, right? I was doing a band. I'm happy there was no internet in those days. When the student days, I started a student fraternity. We were doing cabaret, stand-up, comedy, and music. Later on, I started an artist society to renovate an old school into atelier and housing. That is when the UCO started. I did the Blender project. I started Not a Number, the foundation, they're doing open movies. I like to bring people together, right? I always like to have people around me to actually do things. I'm also a designer, or a maker, what you can say. I like to make things. I really want to, even when it was like clothing, or I made stuffed animals when I was in high school. And later on, I found out that with computers, you can also make things with graphics. And that's how I started with computer graphics. But to really understand how computer graphics works, you also have to become a developer. So I started coding and developing, mostly end of 80s, early 90s, to be able to make my own tools. And all of that, to bring it together, I'm an entrepreneur. Because I never had a job, really. And in my student days, I worked in some factories, but I never liked it to have a boss, right? Nobody has to tell me what to do. I hate that, right? I want to be my own, in charge of my own future. But I also don't mind taking the responsibility for that, because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have a lot of things to take care of, starting with getting people together, have offices, doing the financing, talking to tax offices, etc. So this is what makes me. And coincidentally, we are in the lucky circumstance that currently there's a Blender management team that also combines those four. And I would like to introduce them to you. So starting with the organizer, Fiona Cohen, Head of Operations. We have a designer, Dalai Filinto, Head of Product. The developer, Sergey Zaribin, Head of Development. And the entrepreneur, Francesco Siddi, Blender CEO, and my right hand in everything. The entrepreneur. So together, they've been basically running the whole Blender organization since the beginning of the year, with me leaning back in the back seat, enjoying the ride. And I think they actually really did a tremendous job. So, time for me then to say I'm going to make a next step. So, with a bit of sadness, but with a lot of conviction, I'm going to announce that I will step down as Blender Foundation Chairman and Blender CEO by the end of the year. And let Francesco and his team take the helm of the Blender project at the beginning of 26. So here's the new Blender Foundation Board. So yeah, the big question is, are they going to be as good as me? Of course not, right? Because if there's one thing I'm really good at, is doing things my way, right? And that's also for them. They will be really good at doing things their way. So yeah, things will change. Some things will get different. But that's good. It doesn't really matter, because this is the next generation of Blender. And I know them, and in the past, I mean, this is 40 years of Blender experience. And they know Blender inside out, and they've been fully ingrained by the principles of the Blender project. They support that. And they have contributed actively to the success of Blender in the past years. So I'm confidently stepping aside and move on, right? So what am I going to do? I will move to the supervisory board. That's one thing. So I will have some strings I can still pull. But further, I want to get my freedom back and find out if I can get in touch again with the maker inside of me. But I haven't been doing this in the past 10 years. Or maybe I will be sitting in the garden playing with my dog and having fun. I don't know. But whatever it is, I will always take Blender with me, because, you know, Blender and all of you is here in my heart. Thank you. Okay, you know. Hey, good luck. Next. Oh, you the slides. Yeah.
So it all started in 2004, 2005 for me. I discovered Linux, open source. I became kind of an open source activist. So like reading these Linux magazines and figuring out like all the different distros, going around my high school telling people, hey, there is this Linux thing, you should try it. Uninstall whatever you have and get Linux is great. And in one of those magazines, I also discovered Blender. So it was this 3D app, and I couldn't really make much sense of it. But at some point, thanks to YouTube, I also understood that I could do visual effects by myself. So that was kind of like a turning point. So then I came back to Blender, And I was still a kid, just trying to figure things out. And I started following the project and getting involved in some of the Italian forums, language skills. And I supported Elephant's Dream, and I was following it along eagerly, looking forward for the DVD to be released with all the production data. And that, when that data became available, it was the first time for me to look into actual production files and to see how a team puts together a computer graphics production. It was really like delivering on that idea of sharing the production knowledge. And it was amazing. And everything was Creative Commons. The license, it allowed me to do stuff with it. So I organized an Italian dub with some friends. So then I had to reach out to Ton and let him know. So I was looking at this email yesterday, and I have to say that the communication skills have improved a little bit. But we had an exchange, and then I went off to university. And I studied industrial design, learning a lot about what it means to make projects and what it means to make products. And I kept using Blender for my own projects here and there. And I kept in touch with Blender and Ton here and there, helping out occasionally. I got a dev grant for creating a custom media wiki skin for the Blender documentation. That was my very first paid contribution to Blender. And in 2011, with a very humble portfolio, but a lot of energy, my existing and ongoing involvement in the project, I applied to participate in the Manga Open Movie project, Tears of Steel. And I got in. And that was the beginning of the end, basically. So I moved to Amsterdam, worked with an amazing team on Tears of Steel, and then traveled to the US and SIGGRAPH for the first time. I came back. I started working on projects together with Pablo. And we did a lot of website building, Blender Conference, Blender Network, Blender.org. Started to work on short films ideas. I got the space to produce a Caminandes short film using the Blender Institute facilities, so organizing a pre-sale campaign, sharing the production process online, and all the things. Staying at the Blender office, living and breathing the culture, sanding and varnishing the floors, really ingraining those Blender values, yeah? And at the time, there was also like the ambition of building something already bigger and more sustainable. And so brainstorming with Ton about like building the Blender Studio. At the time, it was the Blender Cloud. So launching the Project Gooseberry and Cosmos Laundromat. So this is the one night in Austin where we launched the project. Good memories. And building tools for facilitating artists working together during the production. And I did that for a few years. So more events, explaining what is Blender, why is it free, over and over. More events, more productions, more projects, more trips. While the team keeps growing and we all get a little bit older. And this is only part of the team today. And the project is doing better than ever. And being entrusted with this opportunity, of course, means a lot. And I feel we are on a very good path forward. So there is an overlap between my interests and also Ton's. And I want to spell it out in a couple of words. So design, for me, it means useful and usable tools and creating experiences that improve our life. Then there is technology. Technology should be open and accessible. And both these two things, they should serve people, and which is the most important thing, and bringing people together to achieve something bigger than ourselves. There is one more topic that I love, which is storytelling. And storytelling takes many forms, long, short, interactive, and keeping focus on this is really key for Blender's relevance and success. And I really want to pursue new ambitious challenges here, especially with the Blender Studio team, and this is something to discuss in the coming months. Goals for the future? So the continuity, the stability, so making sure that the project is well organized, that it keeps going, and that it keeps growing, facilitating onboarding, creating a more diverse community, like trying to expand, so when it comes to background and interest, so to make sure that we are well funded for all this. And also for innovation and more disruptive activities. So with Blender being so large and successful, it's also natural to get a little bit stuck in the process and to take a more conservative approach to development. So the idea is to enable more experiment, research, and development, and to keep the purpose in mind. So making Blender for small teams and individuals, and to provide the world with the freedom to create. So the future The truth is, we don't know what's in the future, but we are here to find out. So continuity is important, but you also need to adapt to the growing scale of the project, for example. So, and we need to do we must do things in order to keep Blender independent and strong. And I look forward to connecting with everyone here, and I wish you guys a great beacon, and thank you very much.